This is the Diamond Hogs Podcast with Mason Choate and Robert Stewart.
Welcome to the Diamond Hogs Podcast. I'm your host, Mason Choate, joined as always by the infamous DR Stew 32. That's Robert Stewart Jr. For those of you who don't know, Robert, what a disgusting series on a disgusting field at a disgusting campus in a disgusting town against a disgusting team in Missouri. And Arkansas wins.
I was
two out of
really
three.
questioning you. Yeah, 2 out of 3, like you said. I was really questioning you when you were like crap town, crap campus, like crap everything in Columbia, Missouri. But then I watched these 3 games and I'm like, man, I can't wait for them to be over.
It was just gross, dude. In the field, like how it should be a requirement to have at the very least a dirt infield. Like
Yeah,
I
mean,
get it if you want to have turf in the outfield, maybe turf in the infield on the grass, like whatever, because you don't want to take care of it, but at least have dirt in the infield.
you texted me during the game, this field is an embarrassment to the conference, and you're absolutely correct. But I would go as far as to say the whole school is. So
Honestly, okay, but I think I heard on the broadcast that they're not the only SEC school to have a field like that. Does Vanderbilt have a?
you know what? I bet Hawkins in Nashville is like that. I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of turf on that field.
So it's obviously the ball is obviously going to play different because it bounces off a turf different than it's going to bounce off of grass or dirt. So you got to think that has to factor in a little bit, at least if you're the away team. If you're Missouri, you should be used to it, but apparently not because they had so many freaking errors because they're a horrible baseball team.
Did you see what Phil Elsen tweeted after the game?
No, but I was listening to Phil on the radio and he hated the field more than I did. So
Let me see if I can find this tweet. It was like where is it? Let's see. 12 straight SEC series wins, 3 straight series wins over Mizzou. Tigers booted balls like a car with unpaid tickets all series.
there you go. Phil Elson telling it how it is. So anyways, more importantly than how crappy of a town Columbia is, how crappy of a university Missouri is, Arkansas wins 2 out of 3. So they win 7-5 on Friday, lose 7-5 Saturday, and then they win 6-4 in the rubber match on Sunday. And we will get to all of that here on the Diamond Hogs podcast. But before we do, as always, we need to remind you that we are available on the Hit That Line podcast network. That is hitthatline.com. If you want to go visit their website or just type in Hit That Line wherever you get your podcasts, you can find the Diamond Hogs podcast. You can find the Morning Rush podcast, the Halftime podcast, Trusting the Process. There's a lot to listen to over at hitthatline.com. They do Razorback coverage for your listening needs as good as anybody. So go visit them and listen to our podcast there. Some of you probably are listening to our podcast there. So thank you for doing that. And also Robert's recaps of the games. They go on hitthatline.com. Robert, a very good writer, unlike myself. And so good for him. And he also does the live tweets for their Twitter. So follow them on Twitter. I think it's just Hit That Line AR on Twitter, right? Okay. He's shaking his head. Yes. You want to speak? We're on Zoom, by the way. So this is a little bit different than if we were in the studio.
That's all right. Last episode. No, that's it. Hit That Line AR. That's the Twitter handle. We'll be back in studio for our Mississippi State preview next week.
Yes. Mississippi State preview next, or this, I guess it would be this Friday because you're listening to this on Monday. Okay. Also, HawgBeat.com. We're on the HawgBeat YouTube, so go check that out. Subscribe to the YouTube. You're going to get all of your video content needs on the HawgBeat YouTube. That's press conferences, film breakdowns, the Diamond Hogs podcast, the HawgBeat Hour, all of that over at HawgBeat on YouTube. And also go to HawgBeat.com and subscribe for the greatest Arkansas athletics coverage you can find. You know who Andrew Hutchinson is, and you know he does it better than anybody. And so now... So unfortunately, the basketball team lost to Duke in the Elite Eight. So it is officially baseball season. And what that means is you officially need to subscribe to HawgBeat.com because that's where you're going to get your best Razorback baseball coverage. So like you people who wait until basketball's over to finally pay attention to baseball, well, you need to finally subscribe to HawgBeat.com now so you can get that baseball coverage that you want. And you need to catch up too. And if you want to catch up, go listen to all the old episodes of the Diamond Hogs podcast. And you can catch up on what's been happening this season. So thank you to those two businesses, companies,
Media outlets.
that help us with the podcast. And also, we are brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Barley and Vine in Bentonville, Arkansas. So Barley and Vine, they got a lot of traction this weekend. We saw that Josh Teeter and David Martz, I think that's his name, they went to San Francisco for the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, and Barley and Vine sponsored that because they're great people. They want to help out Hog fans. They want to help out a couple students, and they also help out this podcast. And they'll help you out if you go see them. They'll give you some great drinks. They'll give you a great atmosphere, and you can play shuffleboard. Robert and I, we got to go play shuffleboard, and we're gonna get a drink together. So go see them, Barley and Vine in Bentonville, Arkansas. You can call them 479-268-4806, or go see them at 113 West Central Avenue in Bentonville today or tomorrow or the next day or all of those days. Barley and Vine. Okay. Take a deep breath. Now we have to talk about this horrible series that I really don't even want to talk about this. This is probably going to be a shorter episode. So let's see. I didn't pay attention to the game at all on Friday night. Should I even say where I was?
Go for it. You're having a good time.
So I'm officially 21. So I was celebrating with some friends. We were at Oaklawn and Hot Springs. We put some money down on St. Peter's, and we celebrated accordingly when St. Peter's won. So I did not really pay attention to baseball. So Robert, you're gonna carry the load on the Friday night recap. But Arkansas won 7-5. Nolan goes 5 innings, gives up 7 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned, struck out 9 though. I mean, Connor Nolan, it seems like every weekend he's striking out 8 or 9 or 10 or 11. Like this dude can pitch the baseball.
Yeah, Connor Nolan can really pitch the baseball. You know, it didn't seem like he had his best stuff on Friday night, but that didn't really seem to matter. Like you said, got the job done. 5 innings, only 3 runs, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk. Got it out of the way early. It did cost him in the first inning, but he was pitching with a lead by that point. 7 hits, 2 of which were back-to-back bunt hits, if I'm not mistaken. So that was tricky, and he did give up a couple of runs in that second inning, but the offense kept battling for him. You know, the Tigers had 15 hits in that game, which seems like a lot, but you know, we knew going in that Missouri's not a big power hitting team. 14 of those 15 hits were singles. So and the Tigers left 11 guys on base in that game. So pretty good job of damage control by Connor Nolan particularly, but also Evan Taylor, Zebulon Vermillion, and Brady Tygart out of the bullpen.
Yeah, unfortunately, Zebulon Vermillion now has given up a run this year, so that sucks. I've talked about it on this podcast before how I like a pretty line, and now that's no longer a thing, which is unfortunate.
I'm not a big believer in the broadcaster's jinx, but this probably fuels the conspiracy for those of you who are. Right before he entered the game, the play-by-play guy, I'm not sure what his name was, but was very sure to mention that how impressive it was that he hadn't given up a hit or a run. I was only aware of the 0.00 ERA. I didn't know he hadn't given up a hit at all. I did go back and listen to the Hutch interview. He pointed that out. But 3 hits allowed and a run for Zeb. Tough outing, but he ended up getting the win because of Braden Webb's 2-run opposite field home run in the 8th to take the lead.
Yeah, that was the weird thing. If you're just looking on the box score for Zebulon Vermillion to have the win, that fuels the argument that we've had of should wins and losses even matter for pitchers. I mean, it looks cool, but Zebulon Vermillion was not the winning pitcher at all.
He didn't earn that one.
He did not. But Arkansas did earn the win, and you look at it, and Michael Turner and Braden Webb combined brought in 5 of Arkansas' 7 runs. So Turner had 3 RBI, 2 hits, 3 RBI, and then you look at Braden Webb, he had 2 hits, 2 RBI. So it was like a good week for Braden Webb. And I don't know, is he good, or is this just like a lucky week, a good week, or should we expect Braden Webb to be producing from now on, and then we get a couple weeks down the road and he's just striking out every at bat? I mean, what are we thinking with Braden Webb right now?
I think until Jace Borfin comes back, he's unquestionably your guy. I mean, there's no reason to sit him right now. And honestly, I don't think even when Borfin comes back, there's a reason to sit him. As much power as he's supplied the past. I mean, what, March 15th, I think, was that game where he hit the walk-off slam. That was his first hit of the year. He's hit 4 home runs in the past 2 weeks. And how many games is that? 8. So 1 every other game. You got to keep that in the lineup until he starts going over again.
Yeah, so Webb, he hit a home run in this game, right?
In Friday, yes. So it was 5-5 in the 7th. Missouri had just tied it. And then Webb steps up to the plate, battles on first, nobody out, hits it 404 feet over the right center field wall, which is where the wind was blowing. But opposite field, that's a no-doubter, 404.
No, that was in the 8th, not the 7th.
Well, Missouri tied it in the 7th.
Oh, I thought you were saying Webb's home run came in the 2nd or 7th. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, good for Braden Webb, and I'm happy that he's doing well. That obviously helps Arkansas. But if you look at it, I mean, everybody in the lineup, aside from Gregory and Slavens, had a hit Friday night. Slavens still slumping. Let's see, he had 3 strikeouts and 4 at bats. Oh goodness. And
Slavens had a nightmare of a weekend once again.
Yeah, didn't even
He
play
had a
Sunday.
sac fly. He had a sac fly in his first at bat or plate appearance, I guess. So it was looking like maybe things were going to turn around. And then I want to say, let's see. I know you said 3 strikeouts on Friday, and had 2 more and a double play on Saturday. Got benched on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just Brady Slavens. They said it on the TV broadcast. Like ever since his injury in the SEC tournament last year, he hasn't been the same guy. I think you can look back to that injury and that's correct, but I don't know if you could attribute his struggles, at least this season, to that injury. I think he's just going through a slump.
I mean, we got to be real. That was 10 months ago. Okay. I mean, I get the point, but surely he's gotten over it by now.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that Arkansas is in a good situation though, where they have such a loaded outfield, a crowded outfield, that if one of the guys isn't doing that great, then they can afford that, because then they can slip somebody else in, and that'll do just fine. Kind of how they did Sunday, where they took Slavens out and then they DH Kendall Diggs, and that seemed to work out. So, and we'll get to that later on. But just this last thing on Friday, I guess, would be Brady Tygart's your closer, I'd have to think.
Yep. He recorded his 2nd save in as many games. I believe he closed it out against Kentucky on Sunday. And he was incredibly impressive. I mean, he struck out the side in the 8th, 1-2-3. He had four strikeouts through his first 4 hitters, gave up a hit, fielder's choice, another hit, and yeah, it was a pair of infield hits in the 9th there. That's right. And then got another looking strikeout to end it on Friday. So he gave up 2 hits, struck out 5 in 2 innings of work, and he had enough left in the tank to come out and make another appearance on Sunday.
Starting pitchers, and some of the guys out of the bullpen as well, but at least for the starting pitchers, they really trust their defense, because you look at it, Connor Nolan, Hagen Smith, Jackson Wiggins, all great pitchers, but they've been giving up a decent amount of hits in their outings, and they're trusting their defense. And not only are they trusting their defense, but they're getting out of trouble. I mean, we've seen it this year a lot, especially I'm thinking specifically with Jackson Wiggins. He's gotten out of trouble a lot more than he did last year. You kind of expected out of Connor Nolan. Hagen Smith as a freshman, you don't really know yet at the beginning of the season, but now we're seeing it. Like this dude, I mean, like you always say, Dave Van Horn said, what did Dave Van Horn say? He said he's 18, but he throws like he's 22. That's your favorite thing to say about Hagen Smith, by the way.
Well, it is. Chris Lanzilli said it too. So
yeah. Okay. Chris Lanzilli, friend of the podcast. So anyways, I think that's great. Nolan, so you look at it, 5 innings pitched, gave up 7 hits, but only 3 runs, and struck out 9. So starting pitching for Arkansas is pretty darn good.
Yeah,
But
and you mentioned working out of jams too. 11 runners left on base for Missouri in Friday's game. It feels like way more often than not the Hogs leave more runners on base, but 2 out of the three games this weekend it was Missouri.
But speaking of working out of jams, and we're going to transition to Saturday now. You know who's not that great at working out of jams? Cole Ramage. I think maybe you got in trouble with Dave Van Horn, and you shouldn't have gotten in trouble with Dave Van Horn because you asked a legitimate question. I called you an idiot on this podcast, and I don't know anymore.
I told you I thought it was a fair question at the time. I still think it's a fair question. I mean, I understand where Dave was coming from that one day, but I mean, boy, he issued a walk on 4 pitches, issued 3 consecutive wild pitches, second, third, home. So 7 pitches, 7 balls, 1 run across the plate. And then the next one was also a ball. Now you got the tying run on first.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy where we've come from with Cole Ramage from the first 2 weeks of the season to like his last 3 or 4 outings. And it's confusing. It's why are you still going to him? Especially right after Hagen Smith. Why is Ramage the first guy out of the pen?
Well, Ramage can give you a solid outing, but I think it's really just about knowing your limits with him. Like he faced 3 hitters, retired. Well, had one guy. Wait, what am I looking? I'm looking at the wrong page. I'm sorry. 6th inning, right? Yep. Struck out 2, gave up a hit, fly out. So faced 4 batters, retired 3 of them, struck 2 of them out. And that could have been it. That would have been a really good outing. That would have been exactly what the Razorbacks needed. It seems like stretching him out into parts of 2 different innings has been problematic in the past.
So you're saying Cole Ramage is Ryan Kosyu?
Sure. I'll make that comparison. Yeah.
I think because that's basically what you got with Ryan Kosyu. If he went more than like 1 1/3, then he was going to give up like 6 runs. And so it feels like with Ramage, it's about the same situation. So I think you're right. That's a good analysis there. And then they go to Trest. Trest, after I guess his last time Trest pitched, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the Elijah Trest that we're looking for." But I think that was against Grambling, was it not?
Probably.
Yeah. And so then he goes, I mean, let's see. He faced 3 batters, gave up 2 hits and 2 earned runs. How did those happen? I don't even know.
Let's see. So the Ramage wild pitch saga that resulted in 1 run to cut the lead to 1, and then the tying run was on first. So productive out from Carlos Pena, great baseball name by the way. So you got 1 on, runner on second, and then an RBI single to tie it, and then another single to get that guy to third. So by the time he left, it was runners on the corners and 1 out. And then Zach Morris was the next guy out. He got a strikeout, then he issued a walk, then he gave up a double. So Morris didn't get charged with any runs, but that double with inherited runners on was a dagger.
Gotcha. Okay. Didn't Ramage have like 3 straight wild pitches? Am I right?
Yeah. Okay. So after the 4-pitch walk, well, he had 2 4-pitch walks, but the second one, balls 1, 2, and 3 were wild pitches. So ball 1, he's on second. Ball 2, he's on third. Ball 3, he came home.
Wow.
It was pretty remarkable. I'm not gonna lie.
So it seems like he took a little bit of off-speed pointers from Kevin Kopps, but really didn't, he didn't become an expert. I don't think.
And the broadcasters were making a point about the way Michael Turner was set up. He like got down on a knee, so he sort of limited himself in blocking balls, but at the same time, those wild pitches, none of them were particularly close. Like even if he's in a standard crouch, he's gonna have to dive like a hockey goalie or something to stay in front of that or keep the ball in front of it.
Okay. Gotcha.
It was not really a good setup, but at the same time, none of those pitches were close. Like they were probably 4, 5, 6 feet short of the plate each time.
Okay. Well, if you look at it though, Arkansas only had 6 hits on the day, Saturday, and
That's just
that
not enough.
it's not enough. That's what I mean. Arkansas, it was the bats at the beginning of the season, but it seems like the pitching is going to give you enough. I mean, still 7 runs is 7 runs, but this is a lineup that should be able to keep up, especially. I mean, it was 7-5 in the ninth. You could have done something, but you look at it in the ninth, Gregory strikes out, Wallace walk, Stovall strikes out, and then more fly out. So it's like you can't go into the ninth down 2 runs and 2 of your guys strike out against Missouri pitchers.
Right.
And you're
And
talking about Gregory and Stovall.
yeah, and there were a couple weird things in the game. It was really windy. It was probably the most windy on Saturday. It was windy all 3 days in Columbia. But in the second inning, you had a 2-out bloop shot by Caden Wallace. He slammed the bat down. The bases were loaded, and somehow it dropped. So that was one of the 6 hits. Didn't really feel like it should have been a hit, but it goes down as a 3-run double. And then there were 2 fly balls later in the game. One by Lanzilli to lead off the third. He actually pointed at the Razorback dugout because he thought he had hit a home run, but the wind was blowing so far in from left field that it died on the track, and it was a bit of an awkward moment for him. And then Braden Webb had a similar issue in the 8th inning. Let's see, there was a runner on base. Lanzilli singled to lead off. 2 outs after that, and then Webb looked like he hit a pretty towering fly ball, but again, died on the track, and that would have been a game-tying 2-run home run.
Okay.
Wind was a big factor.
Okay. That's another thing about Columbia, Missouri. It's so far north that it should not be considered Southeastern Conference.
Well, and it's so far. I mean, it's in the heart of the Midwest. Like you can say the same thing about Arkansas, but Arkansas is in the South.
Arkansas is in the South, and the weather in Fayetteville this weekend was beautiful. At least Sunday and Saturday. I was here Saturday and Sunday. Let's look at Hagen Smith though. So you got to watch him really. I was listening on the radio here and there. He goes 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks. What did you see from him? How was he looking? Was he looking like the normal Hagen Smith? I'm sure he was going quick as always.
Yeah, he was going quick. I don't know. You might want to pull up either the stat broadcast or the box score to check on his ball to strike ratio. But I was tracking first pitch strikes, and against 25 batters, he only started the count with a strike 11 times, which is pretty unusual for him. It seemed like he was working into a lot of 2, 3, even 4 ball counts, a lot of times. And I mean, he gave up 3 hits in the first. That kind of cost him. Hogs battled back with 4 in the second, so he was pitching with a lead for a while, and then he paid for a pair of 2-out walks in the 5th, his last inning. It feels like the last 2 or 3 times he's been out there, his pitch count's just been really, really high.
Yeah, that is the case that I've seen with Smith, especially the last 2 outings. But why do you think that is? Why do you think his pitch count is getting so high? Is it because he's not throwing strikes or what?
I think this game against Missouri, that was the case. I think before that it wasn't really an issue because, like, I mean, I'm sure you can go look back at our spreadsheet that we have and see that. Let's see, against Kentucky, yeah, it's kind of more of the same. 25 batters faced, again, only 13 first pitch strikes, so that's barely over 50%. Got up to 92 pitches, I think. I have 96 for him against Missouri. And then UIC, I don't think he went very long again. Yeah, 100 pitches in 5 innings. Let's see, 3 walks, and 3 walks in each of the last 3 games. So too many walks. Long story short, too many walks.
Well, if we're gonna think of anything good that came out of Saturday's game, I think you got to talk about the 1 inning from Gabe Starks. I mean, Gabe Starks looked pretty good. We've been talking about the bullpen. You need more consistency. You feel like you've got it from Tygart. You feel like you've got it from Vermillion. Outside of those 2 guys, who else are you really relying on?
Right. Starks was the only guy to record a 1-2-3 inning on Saturday. So a pretty good sign. I mean, Missouri really did a good job of working counts and reaching base with hits, and Starks didn't allow that. A couple of groundouts and strikeout that had to go down to first at the end of the ninth there. But I mean, Smith wasn't bad, but nobody in the bullpen was particularly good except for Game Starks.
On Saturday, yes. Evan Taylor, I forgot to mention him.
He threw on Friday.
Friday, he went 1 1/3, 3 hits, 1 earned, 2 strikeouts. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about Saturday or Friday, Robert, before we move on?
I don't think so. 10 hits for Missouri again on Saturday. I mean, it is a good hitting team, and like Dave Van Horn said, you can't take anybody in this league lightly. And I don't know. I mean, it was a winnable game for sure for Arkansas, but again, like Dave said, they're just not playing their best baseball right now. They've been getting by. It feels like the 12-game win streak. Maybe they didn't earn all of them, but they are a really good baseball team, so they can do that if they're not playing their best baseball.
That is true. I believe somebody on the HawgBeat message board, the trough over at HawgBeat.com, subscribe to HawgBeat.com. I'm pretty sure somebody said that Missouri was a team of 9 designated hitters, and that's what they were because they were horrible in the field.
I'll buy that 100%.
Do you have a count of how many errors they had on the weekend?
I want to say it was 5.
Wow.
1 Friday, 2 Saturday, and 2 Sunday.
You know what I really want to count on? How many freaking reviews that they had. I know I didn't, like I said, I didn't really watch Friday or Saturday's game, but Sunday's game, are you kidding me? Not only were the reviews horrible, but the strike zone was just, it wasn't even a thing.
That was an issue all weekend too.
Okay. I'm glad that it wasn't just Sunday, but it's like, come on, man. That's like what you do. That's your job.
And both ways it was bad. I mean, the umpires were hearing it from both dugouts all weekend long. Like Arkansas better hope they don't run into that crew again, because that was not good.
The home plate umpire on Sunday was horrible. I don't know his name. It was just so bad. And then I don't know. So we can get into Sunday. Actually, before we get into Sunday, I want to remind you, we are brought to you by Barley and Vine in Bentonville. So Robert, you and I, we've talked about it. We're going to go to Barley and Vine. Unfortunately, not going to be able to watch the Razorbacks play basketball at Barley and Vine, but we can definitely watch them play baseball, and so can you. If you want to watch Arkansas play some baseball, go check them out. The owners, they're big Razorback baseball fans, big Razorback fans in general, but they'll have the Razorback baseball game there, and they've got all kinds of drinks for you and your friends. I'm trying to pull up the list because they have, okay, here it is, 32 beers on tap, several more in cans and bottles, and they have a wide array of wine selections of reds, whites, and sparkling. And they offer several by the glass and have even more by bottle. So it's a place that is perfect for chill vibes. You can play shuffleboard, darts, and watch whatever games are happening that evening. So go see them at 113 West Central Avenue, Suite 103 in downtown Bentonville. And thank you to Barley and Vine for sponsoring the Diamond Hogs podcast. And we got to go check it out when you get back to town, Robert.
Yes, we do. I will be, by the time you're listening to this, I will hopefully be either on my way or back in Fayetteville already.
For those of you that don't know, Robert lives he's from Virginia. You live in Fayetteville right now, but you're back home in Virginia.
For the recording of this podcast, yes, I am.
You want to tell people your address?
No, that's all right.
Okay.
I appreciate the offer, though.
Okay. All right. Well, now we can get into Sunday's game. So let's see, where was I? Oh, I wanted to talk about the guy that got, I'm doing air quotes, hit by the pitch. You remember that? What inning was that?
Was it the guy that was like squaring up the bunt?
He was squaring up the bunt, didn't get hit by the ball whatsoever. And they even took like 5 minutes to review it. And then they still said he got hit by the pitch. And it was so clear that not only did he not get hit by the pitch, he didn't even react to it because he didn't get hit by the pitch. And he wasn't even going to go to first until the ump said, here, go to first, you got hit. And then they still said he got hit by the pitch.
Right. You would think it was, I'm looking at it here, I'm pretty sure it was Josh Day, the leadoff hitter in the 8th inning. Because, I mean, Jackson Wiggins can still pump 95, 96 at the end of his outing, right? and he was pushing 100 pitches by then. And I don't remember if you retweeted this or liked this or whatever, but saw something on Twitter. It was like no way a dude doesn't react to getting hit by a Jackson Wiggins fastball.
Yeah, that was I think the username on Twitter is Bomb Squad. I think his name is Dennis Meters, maybe.
I think you're right.
Yeah, here we go. Bomb Squad at Meters Dennis. He said, yeah, you ain't walking away that easy getting tagged in the wrist by a Wiggins fastball. I agree with him. Like you would have known if he got hit by a Wiggins fastball, and he did not.
He would have known.
Yeah, he would have known. But we got to start all the way back from the beginning. So Wiggins gave up a 2-run homer in the second. And at the time, he was a little off. Like it felt like this might be one of those games where Wiggins just, he goes like 3 or 4 innings and then they have to pull him. But he kept going. He kept pumping the fastballs in there. He was throwing some cutters, and it was good for Wiggins to come back from the home run because normally, and we say this a lot, but last year, if he gives up that 2-run homer, he's probably out within 3 innings.
Yeah, I mean, this is a completely different Jackson Wiggins we've seen in 2022, and we've said this before, but it was on display, particularly Sunday. So he gives up the 2-run home run in the second, right? He's given up 3 hits at that point, but innings 3 through 7, he gives up a grand total of 2 base runners. He walks a guy in the third to lead off, gets the next guy to bounce into a 5-4-3 double play. That was like a weird check swing type deal. Do you remember that?
Repeat it.
The double play in the third inning, the guy like checked his swing and was late getting out of the box because he wasn't sure if it was fair, but Wallace was on it, threw it second and got it to first in time for 2.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So that started a string of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 straight batters retired. He hit a guy in the 6th inning with 2 outs and then struck the next guy out. And then 3 in a row in the 7th too. So let's see. He struck out the side in the 4th. That's 3, 4, 5, 6 strikeouts between innings 3 and 7 toward his total of 8 on the afternoon. So 5 really, really solid innings sandwiched in between a tough start and a tough finish for Wiggins.
Yeah, I was going to say the finish for Wiggins was just unfortunate because he walks the leadoff guy. Then you have the hit by pitch, which wasn't a hit by pitch. So Missouri gets bailed out. Then he gets a strikeout. So you're 1 out. And then Morris, whatever his first name was. Trey Morris comes up, singles to right center. And then Day, the guy who got hit by the pitch, advances to third. And the leadoff guy that got walked scored. And then Tygart comes in. But there were still 2 runners that Tygart had to inherit. And one of them scored. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a 4-6 fielder's choice that was close. I mean, it looked like a double play ball. It just wasn't hit sharply enough. Almost got him out of the inning, but like you said, that hit by pitch that was not a hit by pitch did end up turning into a run and costing Wiggins his quality start because it was the 4th run he gave up.
So that was unfortunate for Wiggins, but it was a career-long outing, tied a career high with 8 strikeouts, and season high 100. So you had 108, and the official stat broadcast had 109. Who should we trust?
Well, it wouldn't be wrong to say that he threw 108 because even if he threw 109, that's 108 plus 1.
But then it would.
He threw at least 108 pitches.
But it would be wrong because if he threw 109, then he threw 109, not 108.
Well, but 108 is part of 109, so it's not technically wrong.
That's like saying that. Okay, that's just whatever. I'm gonna move on because that's just stupid.
I was going off of my own count, which lined up with the SEC Network Plus broadcast.
And we're trusting the SEC Network Plus broadcast now. Did you? I mean, like that. This was one of those games where people were always complaining about the commentators, and I feel like that happens a lot of games, especially with Arkansas fans. But this was one where it was a lot more.
That is one of the things I think I take for granted in sitting in the press box at Baum Walker. You don't have to listen to any commentators.
I usually just put the games on mute, to be honest with you. I don't like listening to the commentators because I get frustrated, like most fans probably do. And I'm not going to put myself in this situation where I could get frustrated. I'm just going to enjoy watching the game,
Yep.
Okay. So we talked about Wiggins, but we got to talk about the rest of this game. So Arkansas in the fourth, they scored 2 runs to tie it at 2-2. Robert, take us through that fourth inning.
Yeah, they finally made some noise with the bases loaded. That was nice. Leadoff walk to Robert Moore. Chris Lanzilli almost hits into a double play, escapes with a 6-4 fielder's choice. Infield hit for Kendall Diggs. Braden Webb walks. And at that point, the bases are loaded. Jalen battles, single up the middle, cut the lead in half. Bases still loaded for Zach Gregory. And what does he do? He gets on base with a bases loaded walk. So drives in a run there. Didn't have a great weekend. Gregory didn't. I think he was like 2 for 9. Let me see here.
Gregory was 2 for 9.
2 for 9. So not the best weekend from a batting average standpoint, but did draw a handful of walks. How many to be sure? 1. Oh, only the bases loaded walk. So it was worth it. But he did wear a couple pitches on Saturday, I think. Friday, excuse me. So
you're literally wrong about everything you just said.
You know what? It happens. It happens. I need to get back to Fayetteville. Anyway, Zach Gregory's on base streak continues. He's been on base in every single game this year, just as he does.
He does. He gets on base. I went from the GIF to now I have a video that I can post every time where he says he gets on base. So I like that. Go check out the Twitter. It's at Choate Mason. But looking at the rest of the Razorback lineup, so you mentioned Lanzilli. He was the only Hog. Well, no, he did get on base. He got hit by a pitch. So every Hog got on base in Sunday's game. Moore and Lanzilli, the only 2 without a hit. But you look at it, Michael Turner, as always, leads the team with hits. Not always, but he's the only Hog with more than 1 hit on Sunday. He goes 2 for 5, had an RBI, and that came in the 4th or the 7th. Sorry.
Yeah, the 7th was crazy. It was sort of like one of those innings against Kentucky last weekend. The Tigers just couldn't feel the ball. Leadoff walk to Caden Wallace. That's never a good thing. Peyton Stovall gets on with a fielder's choice. That's right. There was a throwing error on the third baseman. He was trying to throw out Wallace at second, threw it into right field. All of a sudden, you got runners at the corners. And then Turner hits a little chopper to first. They don't really look like they know what they're doing trying to field that. He looks home. There's no play there. He looks to second. No play there. Tries to get it to first. Turner beats it out because he's too indecisive. And then there was the sacrifice bunt from Robert Moore that he reached on because of an error by the first baseman. Don't remember exactly what happened. Maybe he just misplayed it.
On the Robert Moore bunt? Yeah, no, he didn't really. I mean, like, he was kind of slow to jump on it, but when he got to the ball, he just couldn't field it.
Right.
And I mean, he picked it up and made the throw. The throw was there, but because he didn't field it at first, he kind of juggled it. He didn't get the throw, and he tried to take it to first rather than home, and so the run scored.
Right. So after that bunt play, they switch pitchers, strike out Lanzilli. Then there's the balk that took 3 or 4 minutes to decide that it was actually a balk.
Like, what the heck? That's what I'm talking about. How dumb is that? You're going to review a balk? A balk is either a balk or a balk. It's like, why do you have to review that?
Well, and they didn't even go to review, did they? They just talked about it.
I don't know if they went to review or not. All I know is that I was sitting there for 5 minutes wondering what the heck is going on.
I'm pretty sure they just talked about it. Like which, I mean, that play was obviously good for the Razorbacks, but I feel like that is not a good thing for baseball, for you to sit and talk about something and reverse the call without having looked at anything.
Well,
like, you just talk yourselves out of a call. That's weird.
Going back to the start of this episode, you know what else isn't good for baseball? I was going to say Missouri's field, but I'm just going to make it the University of Missouri as a whole. Is it Missouri University or University of Missouri?
Well, they like to abbreviate it to MU sometimes, but I'm fairly certain it's the University of Missouri.
Whatever it is, they are a disgrace to the game of baseball.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there.
I'm so glad this series is over, dude. It's like
I know.
I'm trying to think of like what it's like. So like football, maybe your cupcake game, you're just ready to get it out of the way because it doesn't really matter. Or fantasy football, you got a guy who's playing a really tough defense, and it's he's only going to score like 5 or 7 points in your flex, but you got to play him anyways because it's like Julio Jones, and you're not going to put Julio Jones on your bench. So is that kind of weird?
I sort of see where you're coming from. Can we like talk about all the weird quirks that they had going on? Like you wrote about the SpongeBob music on the document, and there was like every time a Missouri pitcher threw a strike, they'd play the Mario coin sound. Like I know that Bud Walton Arena does that for free throws in basketball, but I feel like strikes happen way more often than converted free throws.
Yeah, they do, and it got really annoying. And then every time there's a foul ball, the car alarm. What is more annoying than a car alarm sound when your car alarm's going off, and then they're gonna play it in the stadium as
Right.
if it's like supposed to be enjoyable?
What if a ball that goes out of play actually hits a car and that car alarm is going off and the person can't hear it because there is a giant car alarm sound going on over the PA?
I mean, you might be able to hear it because it was a freaking city league ballpark with like 800 seats, and so your car's just sitting right outside of outside of the gates. So
It's worth noting that the announced attendance on Sunday got up above 1,100. Impressive.
for a second I thought you said 11,000. I was like, no way,
No,
dude,
no, the
1,100.
the first two games were three digits. It was bad.
That is terrible. That's an SEC school that is not getting 1,000 people to a baseball game.
The time has come for them to be banished back to the Big 12. I mean, I heard Andrew Hutchinson talking about it. It's got a Big 10 vibe. Send them back to where they came from. I mean, or the Big 10. I don't care. Just get them out of the SEC. 10 years is too long. The experiment failed.
Big 10, I think, would be better. I think Big 12, I don't even know if they deserve to be in the Big 12, at least as far as baseball goes. Big 12 has a good baseball conference.
That's true.
So, okay. What else? There was another thing that really bothered us.
The turf field. There's no dirt on the infield.
Turf. Yeah, we talked about that though. There was something else.
Ridiculous.
Oh, they had a kid announcing like every batter for Missouri. Was that just like a thing that I wonder if that's something they do every game.
I think it was. I think I remember hearing that on Saturday afternoon as well. Like sometimes I'm thinking about when I've gone to Nationals games in the past, they have like Kids Day on Sunday. So they let a kid announce the order the first time through on Sunday, and then it goes back to the normal PA guy. That's kind of a cool gesture, but when you overdo it like that, that's too much.
It is. I thought it was just like a one inning thing the first time I heard it, and I was like, oh, that's cool. They're letting a kid announce the lineups. And then it's like I kept hearing it every time a Missouri batter went up to bat. If you're a Missouri batter, do you want to hear a kid announcing your name? I'd rather hear like my name from a guy with a nice deep voice, like no offense or anything at all. Like kids are kids, but this is baseball and you're trying to get fired up before you go up to hit the ball, you know?
My question is, does Missouri have a full-time public address baseball announcer?
That might be the issue right there. They might have just picked out a kid from the crowd and said, "Hey, read these names out when they come up to bat," because they can't even get the fans to go to the game. So how are they going to get the public address guy to go to the game? That's embarrassing. What an embarrassment! And they can't
Yeah,
afford a field either. So somebody
just
said that Missouri like plays to lose. They don't play to win. I feel like that's true. Like when do you see Missouri like, and I'm not saying like playing for the team, like the team going out there and playing to win. I'm saying as a university, they are not playing to win. Arkansas is playing to win as far as like NIL, facilities, stadiums, coaches. Arkansas plays to win, not just in the big three, but in every sport.
do you think maybe they play to lose, as you say, because they just want to get their sports reporters better experience
That might
somehow?
be true because the Mizzou J school is so awesome, dude. They're so
They're,
great.
they're just there to cover events and they don't really care what happens.
That and go to Shakespeare's Pizza. Shout out Bob Holt. Okay. And was there anything else on Sunday? I mean, Arkansas won 6-4. I guess we got to talk about. So Arkansas scored that 4 in the 7th, and then we talked about the 8th inning where Wiggins had to leave. Then they brought in Tygart, and Tygart finished it out. Went 1 2/3, gave up no hits, no runs, struck out 2, and he does it again, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tigert has completely won the closer job at this point. If he can go out there twice in a weekend and give you 5-6 out saves, that's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, we got used to Kevin Kopps last year doing that. Maybe as many as 6 innings in a weekend. You're not ever going to see that again. So get that out of your head if you haven't already. And I mean, especially out of a freshman, this is some really impressive stuff from Brady Tygart.
And how about Jackson Wiggins, 4-0 on the year now? If that's your Sunday guy, if your Sunday guy is going to go 7 1/3 and he's going to be 4-0, that's pretty darn good. I mean, a lot of people have said, well, Wiggins could end up being the Friday night guy, but why change anything? Keep it the way it is.
There's no reason to change the rotation right now. Yeah, like you said, incredible outing. Works into the 8th inning for the first time in his career. He is a totally changed pitcher, and for the better, of course. What was I going to say? Oh, four earned runs, so it doesn't look maybe as good as it might have otherwise. But when you consider what he did in the middle innings, that was really, really impressive. And I tweeted this right before we started recording here. But he's 4-0 on the year, right? That leads the team. 4 wins leads the team, tied with Hagen Smith. And in all 6 of Wiggins' starts, the Razorbacks have won every game.
That's pretty darn good.
That's pretty darn good.
When you're winning, when your team is winning the game every time that you start, then you are very valuable.
If you're gonna go out there every Sunday and not lose, that's big.
I think I said Jackson Wiggins was my pitcher MVP at some point whenever we did that. To whatever point that was. I mean, like that, whatever. It doesn't matter. Speaking of MVPs, let's get into weekend MVPs. And before we do, I want to remind you, Barley and Vine in Bentonville, Arkansas. Go see them today whenever you're listening to this, or go see them the next day. Just whenever you're available to get up there, go to Barley and Vine at 113 West Central Avenue, Suite 103 in downtown Bentonville. As I mentioned, they're a craft beer tap room and wine bar with 32 beers on tap. That's a lot of beers. And they also have more in cans and bottles. They also have a lot of wine, reds, white, sparkling. They offer by the glass, and they have some more by the bottle as well. It's a great place to go watch the game, great place to hang out with your friends. They got the shuffleboard, they got darts. They're always doing a lot of cool stuff over there at Barley and Vine. Let's see, they got a chessboard. They got chairs everywhere, tables. They got a couch. Basically everything you need if you want to go somewhere, have a nice drink with your friends and just chill. It's not like your normal bar where, you know, sometimes people are loud, everybody's ordering food. Like, this is a place where you literally just go hang out with friends. They have board games and anything you want. You just sit and have a drink and you chill. And they also have TVs. And TV is what you need, especially if you're trying to watch the Razorback baseball game, which they will have on at Barley and Vine in Bentonville. So go see them. All right, weekend MVPs. This one's going to be a tough decision. Robert, I'll let you start with your weekend MVPs at the plate and on the mound for the Hawks.
All right, at the plate, I'm hoping that you take the rational choice here, but I'm gonna go off the beaten path a little bit and say Caden Wallace. He's 5 for 12 at the top of the Razorback order. Big change from last weekend. I believe he's only 1 for 14 against Kentucky, so nice turnaround. Started 3 for 3. Was a big part of Friday's win. He drew 3 walks, matched against 3 strikeouts, so that's always a pretty good ratio. He did have the sort of fluke hit for 3 RBIs in Saturday's game, but 3 RBIs, 4 runs scored. He led the team in runs scored this weekend, reached base in 8 of his 15 plate appearances, I'm pretty sure. So hats off to Caden Wallace. He's my MVP.
And your MVP on the mound, buddy?
Again, I hope you take the obvious choice. I'm going to go with Brady Tygart. 2 saves, 3 2/3 innings across 2 outings, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts. And let's see, move my zoom over here real quick. 6 first pitch strikes on 14, so not outstanding, but got through almost 4 innings on 60 pitches. So really good job by the freshman. I mean, he's got 4 saves on the year now, 3 in his last 4 games. Like I said earlier, I think he's your bona fide closer at this point.
And he's got the attention of the pitching ninja on Twitter. That
Yes, he
curveball is
does.
dirty, dude, especially on Sunday in the 9th. It's dirty. Davian Horn said it himself. It was there, and it's really good.
Is really good. We got used to seeing the pitching ninja a lot with Kevin Kopps last year. Maybe here to stay with Brady Tygart.
I hope so. So my weekend MVP. So you said the obvious choice. I'm assuming that's going to be Turner time.
Nope. Braden
Nope.
Webb had the big hits.
You're going to go with Brady Webb?
I mean, he had the go-ahead home run on Friday, and he broke the game open on Sunday. I mean, he was only 3 for 9, but 2 really, really big hits.
I know, but okay, you're probably right. It's just hard to pick Braden Webb, man. I'm not a Braden Webb hater. I feel like maybe I just don't believe it yet.
That's understandable, but I mean, without those two extra base knocks in the late innings, Hogs don't win that series.
Okay,
Probably.
well, Robert picks my weekend MVP for me. It's Braden Webb, 3 for 9.
Hey, you didn't watch the game Friday, so okay, real quick. I want to point this out because I did listen to the last podcast, and you said I don't care about my job. Where were you the whole Kentucky series? Where were you 2 out of 3 games this weekend?
Caring about life experiences and family, Robert. That's what I was caring about.
All right.
Also, no, I don't have anything to come back with that. You're right. Okay, you're right. I was having fun while you were doing work. But where were you the Grambling series, huh?
Doing both things at once.
You were not doing your job.
You know what I wasn't doing? Missing an SEC series.
Okay, that's fine. I missed Kentucky and Missouri, the 2 least important series of the year. Is that fair to say? Did I pick the right 2 series to miss?
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, there you go. Brandon Webb, 3 for 9. He had 2 of the biggest hits of the weekend on Friday and on Sunday, and 4 RBI, tied with Turner for the most on the weekend. 3 runs scored. That was second on the team. You mentioned Wallace led him with 4. He did have 4 strikeouts. Turner time only had 2, so that's okay. He had 2 of the biggest hits on the weekend.
Razorback batters struck out a lot of times this weekend. There are 3 guys, Slavens, Battles, and Gregory with 5 each. Granted, the strike zone was, like you said, non-existent. There were some very, very questionable calls all weekend, but everybody with the Kendall Diggs struck out at least twice.
Okay. Well, my MVP on the mound, I'm going to go with Elijah Trest. I'm just kidding. I was waiting to see a reaction. I'm going to go with Jackson Wiggins on Sunday. He goes 7 1/3. Gave up 4 hits, 3 earned. Are we sure it's 3 earned? I thought it was 4.
I haven't changed it on the spreadsheet. It is 4.
Oh, you're literally the worst. So yeah, 4 earned. He had 3 walks, 8 strikeouts, and then threw 108 pitches. That's more than any of the Hogs on the weekend. So Jackson Wiggins, my weekend MVP on the mound. I think that's pretty easy choice, you know. So those are our weekend MVPs brought to you by the Encore Group. Not that I forgot them. I just wanted to get the ad read up before I said it. The Encore Group. When it comes to selling your home, you need representation that will knock it out of the park. Matt Grissom and the Encore Group at Remax Elite will go to bat for you. You know who will go to bat for us, Robert?
Who will go to bat?
Michael Turner, friend of the program.
True.
And Chris Lanzilli, also a friend of the program.
Yep.
Okay. I wanted you to like react to that and say stuff, but thanks for ruining that.
Sorry, I'm trying to pull something up. Go on with Grissom.
Okay.
You're right.
With 14 years of experience and experts at marketing and negotiating, the Encore Group will get you the most amount of money for your home in the shortest amount of time. So don't risk it when it comes to selling real estate in Arkansas. For more information, visit sellingarkansas.com. Big thanks to the Encore Group and Matt Grissom and his team for sponsoring our weekend MVPs. Very thankful for them. And if you're looking to sell your house, if you're just trying to get into the real estate business, trying to figure out what you need to do, you need to go to the Encore group and go see them. You know what, Robert? Speaking of like the central Arkansas area and real estate and stuff, I've heard that the Arkansas Travelers might be moving out of North Little Rock and Conway, Arkansas is an option.
Really?
And I'm pretty sure that's where the Encore group is located out of, is Conway.
How about that?
So the Arkansas Travelers need to be reaching out to the Encore group about buying some
Yes, they
land in
do.
Conway, Arkansas.
Yes, they do.
Okay, what were you trying to pull up?
Oh, I just wanted to talk about around the league in the SEC this week because there are some storylines, let me tell you.
Okay, let's talk about around the league.
Okay. Most notably, Tennessee went into Oxford and swept Ole Miss. I think we'll have a new number 1 team in college baseball this week.
And probably going to have a new number 2 team, the Razorbacks, the Arkansas Razorbacks, because Texas lost to Texas Tech the series.
Yes, they did.
They lost 2 out of 3, right?
Yeah, the Red Raiders, they have a player named Kurt Wilson, stole home to walk off the Longhorns Friday night, hit a grand slam to walk off the Longhorns on Saturday, and then the Texas run ruled Texas Tech Sunday to salvage a game. But yes, as you said, Texas and Ole Miss, 2 and 1 respectively, lost their series this week. Arkansas 3 won its series. Tennessee 5 swept its series. So it'll be interesting to see how much that road sweep is going to be valued with the ranking folks. But I have to assume that in some order, Tennessee and Arkansas are going to be 1 and 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Did South Carolina beat Vanderbilt in the series, right? Didn't they sweep Vanderbilt?
No, I don't think they did because Vanderbilt swept Missouri last week and it says they're 4 and 2. So
Okay, so
2-1 South Carolina.
Vandy won 10-0 on Thursday, and then they lost 8-2 on Friday and 8-6 on Saturday. So South Carolina gets a series win over Vandy. South Carolina has 11 losses.
Wow. Cox rallied to win that series over the Commodores. That's pretty big.
Yeah. What did you say?
The Gamecocks.
Okay. What else around the league? I know LSU played Florida. How did that series end up?
Yep, LSU took 2 out of 3, won the rubber match Sunday, 11-2, not particularly close. Texas A&M was the team in second place, I believe, in the SEC West. I think they lost a series at home to Auburn. Mississippi State got beat by Alabama on Sunday. So let's see, Arkansas is 5-1, 2 games clear of Mississippi State, Auburn, LSU, and A&M at 3-3. And then Ole Miss is 2-4 because it just got swept by Tennessee, and Alabama's sitting at 2-4 as well after beating Mississippi State Sunday afternoon.
And going over to the East, Kentucky won the series over Georgia, and they scored
in a big way.
They scored 28 runs in Saturday and Sunday.
In a big way.
Yeah, 18-5 on Sunday. Like, good for Kentucky after not getting it done against Arkansas last weekend.
Yeah, that's got to make Razorback fans feel pretty good about their team the way that they completely shut the Wildcats down last week.
Holy crap, dude! Tennessee is 23-1 on the year.
They've got to be number 1. I didn't realize they've only lost 1 game. They've got to be number 1.
Who is their one loss to? Now I got to figure that out.
I think Tennessee was 5, Vanderbilt was 4. So
their one loss was to number 1 Texas when they were playing at that little tournament in the Shriners Classic. Is that what it was?
Oh, in Houston. Yeah, okay, so that's respectable.
They lost 7-2 to Texas, but they have won every other game this season.
They've hit about 70 home runs already this year.
What? Oh my gosh, dude! When they played Iona, February 25th and
that was 26th, ugly.
They won the 25th, 27-1, and on the 26th they won 29-0. Why would they let that game go on for that long?
I don't know how you don't put the run rule in place sooner.
That's horrible.
Poor Iona, man.
And they were just padding the stats. They're gonna look like a lot better than most teams because of like those 2 games, probably.
That's true. So you figure it's got to be Tennessee 1, Arkansas 2, Ole Miss and Texas 3 or 4. Take your pick, and then Vanderbilt 5, unless somebody deserves to jump in. I don't know where Texas Tech is, but that's a big series win over the Longhorns. They might jump into the top 5.
I'm pretty sure Texas Tech is ranked, so they'll probably jump up somewhere.
Gotta think so.
All right. I guess we need to wrap up then.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you, Barley and Vine in Bentonville, go check them out. They got a ton of beers on tap. They have wine. So if you're a beer and wine person, go check them out. There's no better place in Bentonville or Northwest Arkansas at that to go hang out. It's not your typical bar. It's a nice bar where you can just hang out with your friends and you can watch a game. They got a big TV over the bar. They'll give you a drink. You can sit down wherever you want. You can play some darts, play some shuffleboard, play some chess. Any board games, they got board games there. And I mean, you could bring your own board games if you wanted. And then go see them at 113 West Central Avenue in Bentonville, Arkansas, Suite 103 there in downtown Bentonville. It's the perfect place to chill, play some games, or watch a game at Barley and Vine in Bentonville, Arkansas. All right, Robert. So looking ahead to this week, you want to tell us what we got going on?
Got a couple of midweeks against UALR. Yes, I'm going to still call them that. That's what the AP style book says. Little Rock, for those of you who are, I guess, with the times. I don't have it in front of me, but 6:30 Saturday, not Saturday, Tuesday, 6:30 Tuesday, 4:00 Wednesday, both streaming on the SEC Network Plus. The post-game media availability Sunday was live from the Razorback team bus, so we did not bother to ask about what we expect to see in as far as starters go that day. So you got to think Austin Ledbetter will factor in, maybe Mark Adamiak. We didn't see either of those guys this weekend, so they seem poised to be the midweek starters. At least that's how I see it. And then Mississippi State coming to town next week, reigning national champs who are not playing like it.
I was about to say that series is not near as exciting as it was going to be because of where Mississippi State stands.
Right. Somebody pointed it out. I'm not sure which broadcast crew it was because there was a real TV crew Saturday against Missouri, but it is incredibly rare, almost impossible for the Razorbacks to start their season with 3 consecutive unranked conference opponents.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't blame them for Kentucky and Missouri. Those are 2 teams that are like never going to be ranked, but Mississippi State should be. Is the thing. Right. Like they're performing below expectations, but the Friday night game is going to be on SEC Network, so national television.
Connor Noland getting the spotlight.
Not against Landon Sims. That sucks. Unfortunately,
that does suck, man. That's really too bad.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll get to those. We'll have the series preview go up on Friday for Mississippi State, and we appreciate everybody listening. Robert, I'll see you when you get in town. And,
sounds good.
We'll talk to everybody on Friday.
You've been listening to the Diamond Hogs podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Choate Mason and at drstew32.